There are special challenges in extracting oil from a terrain as difficult as Alaska's North Slope. Producers have to compensate for things you won't find in the fracking fields, like winter-only exploration, having to rebuild multi-million-dollar ice roads every year, exceptionally limited infrastructure, and some of the most stringent environmental regulations on the planet. We sat down in exclusive one-on-one with ConocoPhillips Alaska to talk about production hurdles you won't find in Texas.
You have to have staying power to do these things on the North Slope. And one of the things that makes it possible to do these is if we can have a stable tax framework. So on the other side of the equation is just what we're doing in the legacy fields of Prudhoe Park and Alpine. We're basically have a renaissance underway in terms of what we're doing right now. We're seeing more activity than we've seen in these areas and across the whole North Slope than we've seen in quite a while. In the three legacy fields, we've got about $11 billion in capital projects planned over the next 10 years. 10 years from now, we anticipate seeing about 150,000 barrels a day of new production coming from Alpine, Kuparuk, and Prudhoe Bay. These plans sound great. When you combine that with what we're doing in the other areas like Willow, we're talking about $24 billion in capital expenditures on the North Slope over the next 10 years and hundreds of thousands of new barrels of production. The things that can make things go the opposite direction, though, is if we have a big change in oil taxes. So I don't really see a big push in the legislature to do that, but there is an oil tax initiative that's on the horizon right now. And if that tax initiative were to pass, a lot of the things that I've just talked about would be at risk. Alaska has to stay competitive. We're in a good place right now in terms of being competitive. If you take $1 billion plus out of just the three legacy fields that I mentioned, that's going to change the competitiveness of these fields for investment.
And in Conoco, Alaska's not the only place you're doing business. Within the company, you're competing with other areas, right?
We're doing business in Texas and other places in the United States and around the world, but really the primary focus for much of the industry right now is in the unconventional plays, the shale plays in Texas. And we're a big player down there. We've got a lot of wells that we can drill down there. And if it turns out that the plays in Alaska if they become uncompetitive, we have other places we can invest our money.
Texas has always been our competitive older little sister. According to the Texas Oil and Gas Association, last year the Lone Star State set a new record, collecting $16.8 billion in royalties and taxes after one of the largest production years in Texas history. Reporting from Juneau, I'm Dorene Lorenz.